breathing in my doubts. Every step I stalled, afraid to speak out loud. I wore my fear like armor, heavy on my skin, waiting for a savior to tell me how to win. Every mirror, stranger eyes I didn't know, but there was something burning, flickering below. I hear it calling in the silence, under the thunder of my heart. A hidden door inside the chaos, a crack of light inside the dark.
Bum, 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 bum.
All
right. I am just setting up this fucking sound madness. I'll be with you all in 2 minutes, people. Let's fucking get it.
Breaking the chains that kept me small. I feel the power in my bones, rising like a burning sun. I was the key in the fire.
All right, all right.
Now I'm the one.
All right, I remember how to do this. I remember how to do this. How we all doing, right? It's 2026. What a fucking mess of a year. But we're getting into it. And this is the start of our daily content. Hang on. All right. So, obviously, we've got a bit of a history with exposing, like, motherfuckers in the Swanson camp. And William Sascha Riley, testimony, Epstein, alleged Epstein survivor, has come out with quite a testimony. And I'm going to just, how are we going to do this? Which screen are we going to use? Let's just use this screen. I don't know if, oh, where's the chat? Christ. Chat is here, right? Pop out the chat. Excuse me, everybody, and pause this. There we go. So, quite an incredible testimony. Former military, 2 services, human transportation, child transportation victim, and just a harrowing story. But man, does he point some fingers at some pretty powerful people, including Donald Trump. And give me 1 second. I've got bloody notes on this. And obviously, I'm from the UK, right? I know who Donald Trump is, right? We all know who Donald Trump is. But there's a lot of names that have been mentioned in this, and I'd quite like to learn who they are. Yeah, so Jeffrey Epstein, we know. Donald Trump, we know. Andy Biggs, Jim Gordon, Clarence Thompson, Lindsey Graham, Bill Clinton, Vladimir Putin, all named by this gentleman. And there's also some victims. Now, the essence of what this entire story stems from, like, I hate to break this to you all, but Ron's one of the few people in the world who is an expert on this subcategory of torturous PDF file. And I to be honest, I wouldn't even call them PDF files. And they are, okay? But when you consider a human being, right? And we think of horrible acts against men, women, children, animals, in our minds, and I'm sorry to say this, in our minds, like, no one's imagining anything, okay, just to be clear. But when you hear the term sexual assault, you think of where what your brain would line up with a sexual act, right? But when there's absolutely nothing that you would consider physical stimulation to give someone gratification, right? When we're just looking at a want for terror and pain and fear and destroying a person, to me, that's the end of the road. That's as bad and as evil and as dark as you're going to get. And that goes for the people that do this to people who are of legal age, the people who do this to people who are not of legal age, and the people that do this to animals. It's the same thing, okay? And this mindset is prevalent in every structure of society. And there's going to be a huge interview between me and Sean. Sean's interviewing me on this whole subject. The Hurtcore documentary I done is being re-uploaded and edited for you all to see. Ron has had a lot of projects start and stop because of his mad life. I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware of how many times I've said the new daily content and it's not happened. I'm fully aware of that. And I understand that some of you will be like, oh, well, we'll get one show and that'll be it. No. We're going to delve into interview A today, and we're going to look at interview B tomorrow. We're going to get through all this. But ideally, Ron wants to just be streaming with you guys. Sometimes we'll start at 3 o'clock. Sometimes we'll start at 5 o'clock. Then we'll stream on here right up until my first show on the Sean Atwood channel. Then after my shows on the Sean Atwood channel, I'll be live on Twitch and YouTube simultaneously. Then it will switch over to just being solely on Twitch, and we'll crack on with some gaming. There is another channel, actually. It will be on YouTube as well, but it won't be on this channel. Because that's what we used to do, man. Like, that's what we used to do. And life is an interesting journey. And back in the day, yo, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy. But Ron's got some fucking goals that he needs to hit this year. Like, I swear to God, man. Like, something I just need your faith for the rest of this year, and then we'll be in the clear. So let's jump into this. So who the hell is Sascha, William Sascha Riley? So, hang on. So he's a former, like I say, he's a former soldier. Buenos Aires, Ron. Buenos Aires. Is that what that says, right? Buenos Aires. Yeah, that's what it says. Bilingual. Okay, hell yeah.
And his name is John C.
Yes! All right, but on a serious note, this guy has come out and said that he was a victim of the Epstein Trump PDF circle. Okay, he was, but when I, listen, you're going to have to broaden your minds here, okay? Because you have to imagine that traditional PDFs and, okay, so when I say a traditional PDF, I'm referring to the child lover pedophile, okay? Those are the pedophiles that think that children can consent and it's a beautiful thing and no one suffers because the kid agrees and it's love and it's all beautiful. That's what that is, okay? That's what that is. Then you've got other subcategories, but trust me, we're going to be referring to the hurtcore genre and the traditional child lover. That's what we're going to be referring to for today. Because we all need to take this with a pinch of salt until we get proper clarification on a lot of this. There's two ways of looking at this. It's very convenient that Virginia Giuffre, the only witness to have got any traction, really, says that Donald Trump was never an abuser. Points fingers at other people. But points fingers at other people in a traditional R-wording, abuse, and PDF mindset. What Sascha refers to is him, in one occasion, being forced to you know, have sex with another minor, and mid-performance, shall we say, someone just walks in and shoots the girl right in the face while he's doing that, and she's lying on the bed. And that's the purpose of the movies that he was in. These are straight up torture, snuff. It's not, don't think of it as it's being violent sex, okay? Okay? You've got to try and get your mind round the traditional act of gratification having nothing to do with this. At all. It's to do with violence and torture and control. It's to do with destruction. It's to do with breaking someone down, watching them slowly lose themselves to the realization that they're going to die. He talks about being choked over and over and over again, believing he was going to die. He talks about the way that his diaphragm, after he'd been choked and beaten so severely, sounded like it was making a clicking noise. That's something that I'd like confirmed if anyone knows anything about medical stuff. Because if this story is true, it will make everything make sense. It will make why they tried to cover up the Epstein files so massive. Why Trump is going on a global warfare as a distraction tool. I mean, I said this last year. Governments traditionally, if they're wanting you to cover something up, will just invade Iraq. That was the go-to thing. I made a joke last year about how they're trying to cover up the Epstein files and they haven't even invaded a country to do it. But look at now. Fast forward. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is we're coming up to midterms, and the same people that would be behind the Charlie Kirk assassination, the same people that would be behind the attempted Donald Trump assassination, can we really say that they couldn't be behind a psyop like this? Now, I'm not questioning anything about the legitimacy of this man's statement. All I'm doing is letting you know that before anything is clarified, we have to keep an open mind and we have to assume every possible outcome. Because I'll tell you this right now, if all of this falls into place, Donald Trump is done. American politics is done. Okay? This is America. This will be America's one chance to put your balls where your fucking mouth is for fucking once, America. Sat back and just watched the madness unfurl on your own people, on the world. The same in the UK. We're guilty too. But don't be blaming your fucking president. Blame yourself and do something about it. You and I have allowed this shit to fucking happen for decades. Sitting in our cushy countries with our liberties, our freedoms, and everything we want like that. And look what's going on. Too comfortable, too fucking confused to be able to do shit. And if it's right in front of us now, and we see this fucking name, if this guy's name starts popping up in the Epstein files, we know why these motherfuckers wanted to keep this stum. Okay? Now, does that mean that the Clintons and the other side, they are all innocent? Does it fuck? It just means that one side is having its finger pointed as being more traditional in the PDF world, and the other side is being pointed as being more fucked. Now, what's the difference, you say, between the cabal, okay, who are doing ritualistic torture? That is torture because of your beliefs. Okay? You believe in some mad lizard reptilian child mutilating fucktard, okay? So you do that in effigy to your deity, okay? People will do that just for money and power with no reason, no PDF, nothing. Okay? But we are talking about people who are born with a fucking screw loose that they can only get this gratification from seeing the absolute destruction of innocence. Now, we're going to delve into the full psychology. We're going to delve into full examples, proven cases, everything that backs up what I'm talking about now on Sean's channel in the interview that's coming. But Andy Biggs, right? Andy Biggs has been named as the most violent and most heinous person that was involved in this. Now, I can only find one guy, Andy Biggs, right? And there's Andy Biggs for 2026. Oh, shit, you guys can't see what I'm looking at. Right, give me 1 second. This one, right? Yeah, all right. And then window capture. And then this one? Yes, all right. And then we need to just make this there. Toasty, you can just shrink down a little bit, pal. And then we want this one. This one. All right. Is this guy Andy Biggs for 2026, right? And oh, bollocks. Hang on. Hang on. Is the latest we have found out. Hang on. Apparently. Wow. Yeah, Sean's just sent me an update, which I'm not going to read out here, but interesting, Sean. Very interesting. So Andy Biggs. Who the hell is Andy Biggs, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm from Scotland. Who the hell is Andy Biggs? Now, oh, it's over here. Hang on a second. I set my screens up wrong. I apologize, everybody. So I'm assuming it's this guy, right? Right? That's who I'm assuming it is. That's who I found on Google. And again, this is all allegedly. But this is the Andy Biggs that I've found. So this man here has been allegedly named, well, has been named, for allegedly being the most monstrous and violent out of all the individuals that Sascha encountered in his statement. And he talks a lot about his father, right? His foster father in this story, does Sascha. And the things that he says are truly horrific. The interview is not for all of you. I'll tell you that now. But he talks about being given over to Andy Biggs after the girl had been shot in the head, and he was told categorically, the next man that comes into this room, you're going to do everything he says. That's what he was told. And he's lying there, and this girl's dead on the bed. And in walks Donald Trump. Who he had previously met because Donald Trump had made him watch him. Donald Trump had forced the kid to watch Donald Trump murdering like a basket of puppies, right? And all of this sounds so far-fetched. All of this sounds so cloud cuckoo land. But I've heard all of this before. Everything. All of it. Just not with Donald Trump. The animals, the variations in acquired tastes of the members of this club. Because he goes on to say it wasn't just children that were there. It was older human trafficked people. So when we look at Prince Andrew and we look at Epstein and we look at all of the things that we know, all right, about the massage girls, about the underage, let's call them underage teenagers, right? Like Virginia Giuffre, 15, 16, 17-year-old. Still children, I might add. But just so that we've got a clear distinction of what I'm talking about, that's what I'm going to say. We have to then assume that there was a multitude of wants being catered to at these events. So we then have to assume that there would be some crossover knowledge, whether willingly or otherwise, of people that were partaking in things that you may not partake in, such as, you know, the shooting in the head of a child. But again, the one witness we had, Virginia Giuffre, is no longer with us. And she gives a very different testimony about Donald Trump. But that doesn't mean that Sascha's wrong. It just could back up the theory that multiple individuals were catered to without the knowledge of each other, or with the knowledge, and blind eyes were turned. My son was in OIF, and I have a ton of photos of our military in the desert. None look like... Do you know... Dude! Wait, are you talking about this, bro? Stay there, wherever the fuck you are. Stay there. Are you talking about this photograph? Are you... Wait now. Are you talking about this photograph, bro? Before you say anything, can I tell you what I think about this photograph? Cleanest motherfucking tank I have ever seen. Okay? The only thing that brought back some credibility was his hands. Okay, look how fucking worn his hands are. Okay, but this... Also, why is there an image of him as a child? Okay? Is this just so all the PDFs can go and identify him in the videos? Okay, because the reason that everything came to light was because a former member of his army base was caught with the child abuse material that he was in as a child, and his military officers seen it, said it kind of looked a bit like him, and he got pulled up and had to admit it. That's a bit mad. I'm not saying he's lying. There's just a lot. And trust me, I have heard so many stories that start off unbelievable. His uniform's way too pressed. But again, right, here's the thing. Like, look at the pocket on the uniform here, okay? This could just be clean uniform day, right? Could be clean uniform day. The pocket down here looks very worn. The hands look very worn. And I'm not willing to just be like, you know what, everything's just too clean. Because we don't know the context of this photograph, okay? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of reasons why. All of the reasons we think this could be a fake picture could be a totally real picture, just to be clear. But I'm not saying this is in the desert. No one's saying it is in the desert, right? This could be anything. Do you see what my argument is? I'm not saying you're wrong at all. I'm saying if this is set in the desert, this is questionable. But there's a lot of reasons that this photo could look the way that it is. Does that make sense, Kitty? So I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying neither of us know what's going on, and I agree with you that there's some sus stuff. How conveniently so much info was there. You need to listen. Do you know what, Kitty? I'm not going to lie. This isn't one to take Ron's advice on. This is one to make sure you watch part A. I'm going to put part A in the description right now, which is over here, because this is genuinely wild. It's beyond fathomable, and the update that Sean sent me is quite interesting. So if you refresh your pages in the description, you'll get a link to part A of the interview we're talking about. Now, if you give me a second,
dude, they were just utterly.
With that person, I don't think ever materialized. I think the only thing that I can really say is that I remembered him being there, and then I remember each time there wasn't.
And I'll tell you this. If I was to go off of his mannerisms and the way that he's speaking from a survivor point of view, I'm like 90% believing what this guy's saying. But if we're going to argue that it's fake, we have to argue that he's been put up to it for some reason. And we can't rule out the fact that this is just, it could be a massive ploy. Obviously, I hope it is a massive ploy, because then he's not a victim, right? But man, if this guy, if William Sascha Riley, oh, I spelled his name wrong. Of course I have. What a bellend. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me just correct my fucking stupidity. Let me just do the thumbnail first. Because, man, just the spelling madness is just, it's so embarrassing. Like, I'm a fucking adult. Do you know what I mean? Sascha. There we go. Right. Anyway, that's fixed. So now that shame is over with.
Like a set thing, you never really knew. Country Boy and some other guy, they would pay to see that. They would also pay to.
Okay, so he's talking here. I'm going to play this part. He's talking here about bare knuckle fighting taking place between grown men and some of the children. Children are fighting children. Grown men are fighting grown men. It's interesting.
The bare knuckle fighting. That probably is how my dad got involved with these people, because you've got boxing and stuff like that on TV, but that's really all you had back in the 70s and 80s. The MMA type of stuff wasn't allowed, and these fights were a little more gruesome. They didn't fight to the death or anything like that, but they were bloody, and these were fights, and not just boxing. And so the rich people would pay to see that. Sometimes they'd have like a band playing, just like what you would expect at like a fair or something,
So the rich folks would get flown in, associated with Epstein, and they would pay to watch the victims fight. The victims were all underage. And would they pay to then assault the victims after the fights or during the fights? And they'd pay to torture the victims and rape the victims.
Yes.
And kill the victims.
But now some of the fights were adults, So if they had some big old country boy and some other guy, they would pay to see that. They would also pay to watch the kids fight, and they did pay to watch me fight. I would fight other kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight. I would later go on to be a boxer, an amateur boxer. But that's how I got my start in all of that. So yes, they would have paid for that.
So these are all things we need to fact check. Okay, because and he encourages people to fact check all this.
Were different each time. There wasn't like a set thing. You never really knew what was going to happen. So part of it, a lot of it just comes down to money. So if they offered $5,000 to have sex with me, then my dad was willing.
Oh man, exploited by his father. Yes. The individuals I've spoken to, women who on the dark web, obviously in encrypted networks. I've spoken to women who want to meet a PDF file husband so they can make a baby to do this whole process with. I can't begin to express the dark road this story is going to take you down. It's, and we're going to go all over the world with this. Okay. And it's dark, and it's going to be on this channel. It's going to be on Sean's channel. And I'm going to get this documentary re-released because, yeah, Nicolette, I don't blame you. Okay. Because nothing that you're going to see is theory-based when I start presenting all this. This is all proven facts, cases, testimonies, court proceedings, people that are rotting in jail. And trust me, there was a golden era of hardcore. And it was run by a 20-year-old boy out in Australia, a man called Lux. and the empire of Hurtcore, which was a website called Hurt to the Core. And you had fucking monster celebrities on there, bro. You know, Shannon Matthews, that freak show Richardson guy that was stabbed in prison for his crimes, Peter Scully. All of these people were the top creators on this site. Shannon Matthews was an Australian care worker who specialized in non-verbal autistic children who he tortured. When we're talking about the grassroots level of this, okay, we're not talking about dead children, okay? We're talking about the nursery school staff. In fact, I tell you about it. Let's show you the facts. Oh my God, this is just last year. Wow. So pinching is a huge thing. All right. Nursery worker convicted of abusing 21 babies. This is last year. This isn't even what I was thinking. This isn't what I was talking about.
Injuries were there the day before, so she got those at nursery. What about these big red marks and bruises to her back? Any idea about those?
No comment.
Did you cause those?
No comment.
When I go through and watch the footage, am I going to see you touching her back and grabbing her back?
No comment.
Anything you'd like to say?
No comment.
Roxana, how does that make you feel, seeing injury photos on a baby? Because for me, I find that really difficult to look at. Seeing
on a
clear
baby.
marks on a little baby. How does that make you
on
feel?
a baby, okay? She must have been real smart. Because if they haven't pulled up footage of this being recorded or whatever, look at her. There's your monster. There you go. You're staring into the face of the monster. The sweet little young woman. Pinching. There was a case of a nursery worker who would film herself pinching these nonverbal autistic kids, screaming in agony. The confusion that brings to an autistic child is so much greater than you could ever imagine, especially if they're nonverbal, have massive sensory issues. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying from, and it sounds messed up, but bang for your buck. If you're so inclined to making this, nonverbal children and babies are your go-to, right? You know, it's like robbing a blind person. Chances are they're not going to be able to identify you. You know what I'm saying? So it's fucked. It's really messed up. And that's the grassroots level of this. Okay? That's the wish.com version of going to the Epstein Island. Okay? That's the version of paying $30 for a weird Telegram zip folder full of fucking horrible monsters like this pinching kids than paying $50,000 for a custom video of an 11-year-old girl being abused and then having her brains fucking blown out. And this is what's happening. This isn't hearsay. This is crazy bitch torturing babies. All right. Let me just go through this as well. All right, let me move Toasty. Now you're facing the wrong way, mate. You're just going to have to just go off this now. Sorry, buddy. All right. Actually, Toasty, you can come back, mate. I take it all back. Take it all back. I never meant it. All right? Good lad. All right. Several audio recordings, purportedly from one Sascha or Sascha Riley. Oh, my God, I didn't spell it wrong. I just There was two spellings. Have surfaced on social media making claims about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Now, I'm saying one thing that doesn't help is the non-bias approach the interviewer took towards the subjects. You could tell very much that she was anti-Trump. And now I'm not saying that takes away credibility. I'm just telling you my reaction to this. That's all. Jeffrey Epstein is seen in the image released in the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C., U.S. in December 1935 as part of the trove of documents from his investigation from the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Sascha, or Riley, has created quite a buzz online. Hang on a second. Let me roll a cigarette. Has created quite a buzz online as a reported person whose audio recordings make claims about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The recordings were widely shared on Substack and other social media platforms. Lisa Noel Voldeng has been identified as a Substack user who leaked Riley's tapes. To be certain, the claims made in the recordings have not been verified or authenticated by the courts of law or by law enforcement agencies. You've got to remember that. Sascha Riley, 5 things to know. Riley was allegedly a war veteran who fought in the Iraq War. As per social media posts, he claimed that he escaped being trafficked when he was a child. In the purported audio, Riley recounted experience of alleged trafficking between the ages of 9 and 13. He spoke of the violence and exploitation. Riley named well-known judicial political figures, claiming they were involved in Epstein's network of abuse. Riley allegedly brought up President Trump's name and Senator Lindsey Graham's. While some names came up in the unverified recordings, they don't exist in terms of indictment. What? Hang on. Indictment? Is that indictment? A formal accusation that a person has committed a crime. An indictment. Okay, so I'm just oh wow, I'm like 7 years old when it comes to words. Indictments and court readings. The verified probes. Reports also claim that Riley was adopted in 1977. The information about Riley is from social media chatter only. HT.com could not independently verify this information. Jeffrey Epstein case has gained momentum in Trump's second term, with both the Congress and Senate pushing for that. No, that's a lie. There was a literal law passed, right, making it illegal not to release the names, the footage, everything. And Trump's been very sus with it. You know, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to let how I think about somebody blind my judgment of investigating whether or not this story's real. No fucking way. And I tell you something else. I'm speaking to Babs this week, and I really, really want to start pushing out the survivor stories of men. For years and years and years, we've supported survivors. But it's time the men have the spotlight shone on them. It really is. And I'll tell you something, there is a lot of violent, horrible women out there. People just don't like to fucking talk about it for some reason. They really don't. Right. Well, there was an initial pushback from Trump, who called the entire thing a Democratic hoax. Could be. Also could not be. The president made a U-turn eventually and argued that Republicans to vote for the release of the files. Since then, the Department of Justice has released the file. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's a lie. That's a lie. However, there have been heavy redaction. Listen. The only redactions legally that were meant to have taken place in the Epstein files were to protect victims. There was nothing, it was illegal to protect someone from embarrassment. It was illegal to take their name off of the list or whatever. All of this has happened, has been passed. And it's very suspicious. I'm going to be honest with you. Trump's actions right now are exactly the actions of every other president that's been accused of something horrific in the past. Monica Lewinsky. You know, weapons of mass destruction. It's a bit fucking wild. Do you know what we often go to the mindset of the female victim? 100%. I'll be honest with you. I think there's a percentage of women who fight for survivors who are not necessarily survivors themselves, who can sometimes resent the concept of male survivors. I think some feminist movements are so far gone that the concept of a man being a victim is far gone to them. They are past the point of being able to accept that possibility. Why do grown adults think it's okay to harm children? Do you know how fucked up the answer is to that? Like, we would need to sit and draw a pie, like a circle, and then go, okay, this percentage think that they can harm children because of this. Okay? But it all leads back to one thing. Wants and gratification. That's it. That's what it comes down to. If you haven't already, by the way, guys, can you please like and share? I would really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it. In fact, I'm going to set you a challenge of helping me get up to like 75 live viewers on YouTube. Okay? And if we can get it up to like over 50 likes and 75 viewers, I'll be a happy boy. So let's jump back into what we were talking about earlier. Who are these people? You can see the names here. Jim Jordan, Clarence Thomas, Lindsey Graham, Bill Clinton, Vladimir Putin. Like, he talks about Vladimir Putin because of how he doesn't even think that Vladimir Putin. Actually, do you know what? I need to stop rambling pish and just stick to a point. Let's just play this for a minute while I roll a cigarette. My brain's falling apart.
Want to do that? You know,
Yeah.
whatever the dollar amounts were.
Okay, no. Evil doesn't. Listen. Good and bad exist. Good and bad make up nature, make up balance, make up the world. Okay, the wolf eats the stag. Good for the wolf, bad for the stag. Evil, true evil that we want to blame on all the other fucking things in the whole existence of the universe. True evil is the manifestation of the actions of man. Okay? The free will that spiritualism and religions talk about is so central to so many things that people overlook. And by saying it's demonic, it's Satanism, it's all of this, fuck right off. Do you know what all that is? Those are concepts and beliefs manifested by man from throughout time. Decision making creates evil. The human choice, the manifestation, evil only manifests. Evil only manifests on earth through the actions of man. End of story. It's not demonic. It's not fucking otherworldly. It's the choices of man. And that's what's truly scary. Because it would be way cooler if all these people were lizard overlords and we could go, it's not human nature, right? It's not part of what makes up this whole world. Is a sliver of the people that look and sound like me, but are wired so different they can do this shit. It's comforting to think it's Satanists or it's fucking, you know, some sort of fucking ritual. And that exists too. Okay? But you don't have to be a child predator or a PDF file to stick somebody on an altar and chop them into pieces. Got nothing to do with being a PDF file. It's fucked up. I'm not saying it's not. But when we're talking about The mutilation and destruction of a child for no other reason than a gratification. That is as fucked as it gets. That is as fucked as it gets. It does not get any more fucked than that. You know? When it's not the physical act. You know what I'm talking about, all right? Things going inside things, all the rest of it. When it's not even about that. When it's about twisting someone's toes around with a set of pliers and watching them screaming. When you're smashing a little 6-year-old's body up with a hammer. Fingers and toes and kneecaps and ribs. That's fucked. It's all fucked. Don't get me wrong. When I say that's fucked, I'm not saying the traditional PDFs and all the other PDFs in between these two highly contrasting versions of evil, okay? They're all terrible. But there's just something really fucking dark about this world. It's even less dark than the Satanists, right? The Satanists. At least you can understand what brainwashing is, right? A certain percentage of these, I'm just using Satanism loosely. Anyone that does anything towards another human being, adult or a child or an animal, that is in the name of a cult or a deity, there's going to be some brainwashing. Okay? So if you can be brainwashed into that, that's one thing. But we're talking about people who just get up and live their lives like you and me. And my hobby is going home and playing fucking Ark Raiders and raiding like a motherfucking champ. And they're going to go home and they're going to like put a kitten in a vice and close the vice slowly until it pops. Like, when Thor was alive, if I got up in the middle of the night and my carpet's black and he's all black, the amount of times that dog got stood on was crazy. The guilt I felt every single time I would stand on his tail or maybe like stand on one of his toes or something like that. Like I just threw myself on top of him and let him know how sorry I was, you know? The concept of torturing anything to me is so fucked. Needless killing. I learned a lesson as a little boy about needless killing. I've told before, and I'll tell you this again. Like, I remember being at my uncle's and had an air rifle. I must have been 10, 11, maybe 12, something like that. And for some reason, today was the day I was going to shoot a bird. Okay? For no reason, I just thought to myself, I'm going to shoot a bird. Okay? I'd never shot at anything but targets. Very responsible air rifle child. But for some reason, today was the day I was going to kill a bird or shoot a bird. I wasn't saying kill a bird. I was saying shoot a bird. And I tried for hours and hours and hours to shoot a bird, and I just kept missing. And I'll tell you this right now. I remember this like it was fucking yesterday, man. Pointed this air rifle at this bird, I don't know what it was. I pulled the trigger, and then its fucking lifeless body fell out that tree. And I had never felt a feeling like this. It was such an overwhelming sense of guilt and realization that I had just killed something for no fucking reason. I will never forget the traumatic feeling of that day. You know, it's different if your dad takes you out hunting in America and you're going to eat the animal. It's different. I mean, I've been fishing. I've killed animals for, I've no problem. But this was just mindless. This was just mindless. That bird haunts me, bro. It was the way it went from being this beautiful thing to going and then hitting the ground. And I'm looking at it and its little dead body, and I'm like, what the fuck have I just done? And I buried that bird, and I went back to the house, and I said fucking nothing for the rest of the night. And that changed me as a little boy. That gave me a profound respect for life, a profound respect for needless actions. It put in perspective the power of the bigger versus the smaller. It was a fucking defining moment for me. And it sounds really stupid, you know? It sounds really stupid, but that really put a lot in perspective for me. Why am I telling you this? Oh, yeah. So you've got individuals that are the opposite of that. I can't comprehend somebody who murders or tortures animals for fun. I cannot understand what you're getting from that. But it fucking fascinates me when the person has no reason to be like that. When the person is normal, when they've no trauma, when they've no abusive this or that, they just have been born a monster. It fascinates me. So Weekly Rag, they do it for power. So who does? Because I've got recorded conversations and written testimonies from hardcore fans that are living in the wild right now. And the lowest grassroots level that I can give you an example of is a man that I had a conversation with who met a female on the dark web, and they discovered that they both had a liking for child-based hardcore. And once a month, they would meet in a motel and bang the shit out of each other whilst watching child-based hardcore. That is as Wish.com version of the Epstein Island experiences as you can get. There's facilitation for this want for torture and destruction across every single fucking level. I just wanted to make camping videos. Legit. So that's still doing it for, so, oh, you mean, okay, so what you mean by that is they're still doing it for power. So for them, it's the power over the person. Is that what you meant? Yes. Is the feeling, okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Weekly Rank. Yeah. It's completely rooted in control, and I'm not even going to say dominance. It's control and destruction. It's holding your life in my hands. That's the thing. Fucking nuts, bro. Like it really is. Please like and share, guys, if you can. I'd really, really appreciate if you can give me a little help sharing this out. I really, really would. Now, as I chain smoke, where's the button? There we go. It's sick. I don't even think that's the right word. I don't think there's a word for it. Sick's definitely on the right path, but we're about 12 steps away from really what we're trying to say. You know, let's. I just want to play on a little bit of this.
I don't
Sascha,
know.
that isn't sex. That's sexual assault.
Right.
I mean, I just want to say something first.
No.
I hope you know.
No, I don't want to
No,
hear you say your pish again, honestly.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I can remember
Like, do you know what? Do you know what really pisses me off? This woman has not thought this through, right? She's holding a chicken. Okay, connotations. We've got a picture of the boy, the victim, at the age that you would be in the videos. You know? So just in case any of you mad pedophiles are out there and want to hunt down this guy's content, here's an easy way of doing it. You know, this woman may as well be holding a slice of cheese pizza.
some arm of law enforcement.
And I'm sorry, I'm not talking badly about Lisa Noel or the Green Neighbor or anything like that. I'm just saying this whole industry of trafficking is riddled in conspiracy of putting symbols in front of people's faces, and I'm way too versed in this shit to not mention it.
Enforcement showing me video of me harming one of the people that they were filming me with. Now, I don't know how that came about, whether they drugged me and I lost my mind, or they told me to do it.
100% he was drugged and lost his mind.
I don't know the circumstances, but I can remember being in that room and them saying, well, you did this. And it may have not even been law enforcement. It may have been, like the people that were running that. But I can remember being really upset because I had no recollection of having done that. It was me in the video, and I was beating a girl senseless. And I didn't kill her or anything like that, but You know.
Yeah.
So, and I have a feeling, you know, this part I can't prove because I only have my own experiences. But
now, one thing that's really convincing about this is the mannerisms and the way that his sentences are structured are very similar to many other testimonies from ritualistic abuse and from trafficking. They talk about blurred memories. They talk about remembering, being hyper focused on the people they believed were going to kill them every time they met them, remembering them, their actions, their smells, their mannerisms. But everyone else around them becomes sort of a blur because they're hyper focused on the moment. Makes fucking sense, right?
what the whole thing seems to be is that they first abuse you, then they get you on film abusing others, and now they have you trapped as well.
Yeah.
So you can't talk about the abuse that they
We have heard this 100 times before. Okay? 100 times. And I'm saying that because these are the moments where I'm like, fucking hell, this sounds like a testimony from survivors who have got case studies, convictions, like legitimate confirmed stuff.
want you to be a legacy victim, somebody that they can use in the future. Well, then they've got to get you on tape.
Oh, there's more stuff coming with Paula M. She has been a very wonderful and patient lady, as she always is with me. And there's lots to come. To be honest, there's a lot to come. Bigger, all the big stuff's going to be on Sean's channel, obviously. But Ron's wanting to get back into the swing of stuff here, bro. Like, big time. Like, I just want to build all this back up. I'm focused, hyper focused on it all. Anyway, let's carry on.
Doing monstrous things to other people as well, because now they have the leverage to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
It is
no,
about
and you
time.
know what? You're exactly right. That's exactly the tactic, and the tactic is insidious because, have you ever heard of the torture technique a lot of occult practitioners use? It's called inversion torture. Inversion magic isn't magic.
Do you guys know what inversion torture or inversion psychology or inversion magic is? Do you know what that is? Let me see if you guys know. The inversion tactic. What is that when we talk about SRA, trafficking, and all of that? What is that? What is the mindset that they're trying to instill in the victim here? I'll let this lady explain it all, but I just wanted to see if any of you knew.
Sorcery is just smoke and mirrors nonsense, deception techniques, but it's sort of inversion technique where to try to linguistically manipulate the victims to try to get the victims in a position where the victims doubt whether the victims, are good or not. That's
Yeah, so they want to convince the victims, the children, that they've done evil things. And if they ever spoke out about it, they would be seen as the monsters they are. They invert the victim into believing that they are a monster themselves. And we've seen so many cases of DID. We've seen so many cases of survivors who've got medical fucking records like this thick. What court in the world is going to believe that shit? It is set up so well. Like, it is, when you look at the evil genius end of the top echelon of this, okay? It is so well rounded as a machine to just break the minds. Surviving the Survivor, I lost track. So good to see you on the tube again. Listen, there's so much that we're going to talk about over the next week or so. Surviving Life, the podcast. I tried my best to keep it afloat, and my co-host sadly had a lot of things suddenly come up in their lives. A lot of things are coming back, believe me. But I'm letting things build themselves up. But thank you so much. What happened there? Yeah, is that gone through twice? It looks like it's gone through twice. Oh no, it's not. It's because I've got it open on two screens, dumbass. But yeah, thank you so much. And I want to commit to things that I can commit to right now, right? Because I'm very good at having plans and then having my life fuck up those plans through things that are my fault and things that aren't. We need to protect our children better. We're shit at it. Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily say we're shit at it. I think a lot of people are incredibly complacent in ways if they knew the true dangers, they would be fucking embarrassed as parents. There's too much complacency. But I genuinely think parents are more terrified than ever. It's just sadly, the more we fear and restrict our children living a life outside and away from us, the more that we usher in ways to occupy our children that come with their own set of dangers. You know? No, listen, nobody can sit there and say, my toddler hasn't watched fucking dancing fruit on YouTube when you've needed to vacuum or something. When you use technology to babysit your child for a tiny period of time, if you need to do the dishes, do the laundry, whatever. People do that shit. It's normal, okay? It's normal. Some kids don't have no interest. They just want to play with their blocks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Stick them in the freaking baby jail, get the freaking vacuuming done, right? But there's some parents that is their child's existence, okay? And that can be a positive or a negative thing, depending on the child. But when you hand a child a device that is set up for an adult, if it's set up, for example, all of my children have got their own Google Mail email address with their actual date of birth, and all of their devices are set up through Android with that email that then prompts us to say, hey, this is a fucking child. Have you got an adult that can supervise this? Yes. And it links to mum and dad's phone. And you can restrict this to fucking psycho levels of control. Like, psycho levels of control. And it's awesome. And it's all free. They don't even know. Right? Well, here's the thing, Nicolette. How can people possibly say that they're unaware of the grandeur of what's going on? No one could ignore the Epstein case. So everyone has an idea of it. But as I've described this so many times, Nicolette, this is the conversational version of putting your hand over a flame and expecting your brain not to pull your hand away when it gets too hot. Okay, if you want to test this theory, go to a house party, walk into the main room of the house party and say, hey, who wants to talk about the global pedophile cabal with me? And watch how quickly nobody wants to talk to you. Okay? It's not because you're wrong. It's because people just fucking can't deal with it. They physically cannot deal with it. Now, Google Family is the GOAT, right? It's the GOAT up until your kids are capable of accessing a computer outside of the home to figure out workarounds around Google Friends and Family. Up until, like, I don't know, like 12, 13, you're kind of good, right? What the fuck was I talking about? I've got to stop looking at the chat when I'm ranting. Can someone remind me of what I was talking about? See you later, Weekly Mate. Oh, God. See, now you're all getting triggered by what I'm talking about, and I've already forgotten what I'm talking about. Is that a thing? Is what a thing? PlayStation? What? Yeah, PlayStations, every possible way your kids can be accessed, they are... I don't think I was talking about gaming. I don't think it was. Predators are everywhere. And gaming is the virtual world version of like a theme park. And we've seen the horror stories that have come with theme parks. You know, it's fucked. I can't remember what I was talking about. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the case with a lot of the Republicans you mentioned. Like you said, Clarence Thomas and Lindsey Graham were at these parties. You can't remember if Lindsey Graham and Clarence Thomas participated.
All right, Lindsey Graham and Clarence Thomas. Okay, that's a dude. Oh, man. Oh, man. Lindsey Graham meets Mossad director during trip to Israel. Dude!
This piece of crap. Can you imagine this guy fighting for freedom. To compare President Trump and the Trump regime to the Ayatollah means you got.
Do you know, this guy looks like the sort of guy. See, if you were going to do a movie like Django Unchained and you wanted like one of those whip cracking, cotton picking, field owning dudes. That's the guy. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Lindsey, yeah. So Lindsey Graham, this I'm just putting faces to names, okay? Because I've no idea who the fuck these people are. Clarence Thomas. Okay. So he talks about how this is a very white club and any of the black individuals who were part of this really stuck out in his mind because he was like, whoa, you know, what are you doing here? Sort of mindset. But of course, Supreme Court judge. Damn. So we've looked at Andy Biggs. We've not looked at Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, American politician. Okay, this guy here. Do you know what they look like? All of these guys look like if any of you are from the UK, do you remember Ladbrokes, the bookies? Do you remember before the smoking ban came in, how people that hung out in bookies all day looked like they hung out in bookies all day? Like they were just grayed out a little bit, as if they just chain smoked all fucking day. Like, do you know what I mean? This guy has got the fucking Ladbrokes chain smoking vibe. Do you know what I'm saying? Please tell me someone knows what the reference, because it's difficult to find them these days. Do you know what I mean? Because since the smoking ban. But I tell you, man, this could be, this picture here, this picture right here is him telling you how big a Ladbrokes pencil is. Okay? Mad. Okay. We know who Putin is. We know who Clinton is. So those are the faces to the people, okay? Which is something that we need to sort of delve into a little bit. Like, who is Jim Jordan? Like, who is this guy? Jim Jordan is an American politician who served U.S. House of Representatives since 2007. Okay, politician dude, all right? Clarence Thomas, big old judge. Lindsey Graham, American politician, attorney, serving as senior state senator of South Carolina. Oh, I bet he is. I bet he is. Man, he looks, look at that. Like, he's got the Ladbrokes look as well. Do you think, right? This is going to sound really fucking weird, right? But do you think the reason that they look a little bit grayed out is because whatever light it is that makes a human, a normal human, is just vacant from these people? I know that sounds a bit like, but they look like they just look grayed out. Maybe it's the eyes. This guy just looks mad. He looks like an angry dude. I reckon he went through some shit, and that's the reason he's a judge, and everyone's going down. Is it the eyes? Is it like these cold, dead, beady eyes? Because they've all got them. This guy has fucking psycho eyes. Like, that is the face that is stared into dying prostitutes in multiple basements all around the South. Allegedly. Jesus. I don't know why in my head there's something way more fucked up if somebody with this level of like a turkey neck is the person that kills you. Like, I would be extra fucking pissed off if this is the guy that kills me. You know, I'd be trying to grab that shit. Fucking, give me that gaggling. I'm telling you, man. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like, I'm not being funny. You know when you look back at pictures of Savile now, and you're like, we should have known. It's wild, bro. Okay, so anyway, that's all the people. Now, we should really start at the beginning of this, because Maybe we will. Let me just finish
It's
this
sort of
part.
a question of did they participate?
In our household, he was dangerous to me because I could keep most people away from me with my fists, but his voice is a little.
That's enough, and I know that.
Are just vague.
Hang on.
I don't have a clear enough recollection of anything. Like, I can tell you 100% sure that they talked about Vladimir Putin, but I do not believe he was ever at one of those parties that I was at. But his name.
Now, how fucking crazy is this for a thought process? What about if all of this is true and these individuals are so well versed and good at this, and the whole world, all the world leaders are handpicked, and they're going to just, regardless of elections, they're the ones that are going to be. What if there's certain survivors like Sascha who have memories planted in them? I never seen Vladimir, but I heard about him, right? Now, fast forward 30 years, Putin's in power, and we now activate this survivor and all his memories to come out with statements like this. I feel like that is a weaponizable tactic as well, even though how far-fetched it sounds. It makes fucking sense, right? It's crazy. It's so...
was brought up more than once.
During the
And
1980s?
Yes.
Okay.
Vladimir Putin, I don't know even when he ascended to the presidency, but I remember the name because it was so unusual. Now, at that point, he may have just been, one of the Russian oligarchs or whatever, but his name came up, and I remember just because it's an unusual name, Vladimir Putin,
Think about how many names could have been named that didn't become people of affluence and power. So there'd be irrelevant memories. You wouldn't have a reason to remember them, right? So it's an interesting one that names were mentioned in front of survivors, but no, these people were not actually there themselves. Is that a form of weaponizing survivors? It could be.
But I don't believe he was ever there. So that is like, I don't know. There are other names like that too.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about
I
Putin
remember
more.
Clinton's name being brought up, but I don't ever remember seeing it.
So Clinton was mentioned.
Interesting, right? So I remember Clinton's name being brought up, but I don't ever remember seeing him. Okay, so we can assume that in the world of the Hurt Core, the Clintons were not involved, well, at least up until with Sascha, but you heard the names. So does that mean that they were all at the same party, and the top floor is Hurt Core, the middle floor is for PDFs, the next floor is for 17, 15, 16-year-olds, and the ground floor is all regular aged adults? Could it be that? Is that why he heard names being mentioned? I just don't know, because I just don't know. Do you know how when we were talking about the Diddy parties, how they talked about the initial party, then the second party, then the fucking Diddy party? Do you know what I mean? It could be something like that. A little Diddy party, yeah, exactly. Who knows, man? It's wild.
But you never saw Clinton.
Not that I can recall. And that's another thing too. I may have had interactions with additional people, but during some of them I was so drugged out of my mind, I don't really remember what happened,
Yeah. When you heard them talk about Putin, so it was at one of the parties of one of the farms, do you remember what they were saying about Putin?
Okay, so we're going to just talk about drugs for a minute, all right? Because this bit won't be in the Sean Atwood channel as clearly as I can say it here. So, it's very important that you realize what we're talking about here. You've all seen Eyes Wide Shut, right? So the snake venom in that is this.
We've of course also heard that it's used as a date rape treatment. In your articulation,
All right, let's just fucking rock this from the beginning.
Burundanga.
Burundanga is the source of scopolamine, which is basically like the worst roofie you can ever imagine, times a million.
Also, can I just point out, this is from 13 years ago. 13 years.
You're at the whim and articulate.
So now imagine a drug that you can give to, say, 3 women that are traumatized and have been trafficked. And you get stopped by a policeman and all of those women are asked if they're okay. They will smile. You've got to understand, you don't look like you're on drugs on this. This is the beauty of this drug. You don't look like you're on drugs. You look like you're a normal person answering normal questions, conducting your fucking life, but you're a complete zombie to the control of the person who gave it to you. And this is where it comes from. This is called the drunk tree. Okay, they call it the drunk tree because the pollen from this, if you were to, they used to talk about, drunks and homeless people getting drunk, falling asleep under the tree, and then sleeping for 2 days because the pollen that they would inhale would knock them out. Now, the seeds from this, people will use like acid tabs. But when you refine the seeds is when you get scopamine. It's not the flute, bro. The flute is the false sense of security, my G. Okay? This is a false sense of security you've been lured into, brother. They stop blue light. So, like, see all the lights behind me on the wall? See all the blue disappears? How fucking crazy is that? How crazy is that? That's why when you see blue lens light blocking glasses for $2, they don't fucking work. $28. So he's talking about blowing the scopamine into people's faces. Okay, which is a bit like, well, you can tell this guy's never done this before, sort of thing, but he's half right. I mean, from like, maybe he does just blow in people's faces, but the level in which this stuff can kill you is the same as fentanyl. It's like a tiny amount. So the blowing's definitely real, but I think he's been very general with it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you take a handful and like it's a mystical. You know, prostitutes talk about putting a small amount on that bit of their nose and then kissing a guy and them exhaling and them inhaling because they'll stuff up their nose. You'll hear about it. It's crazy. So let's get to a testimonial and then we can get back to this.
It always seems to come back to sex.
No!
Las 10, 11 de la noche.
Fucking hell.
Estábamos bailando.
That was close. That was almost too much side boob.
Nos terminamos esa de ron, pedimos nuevamente.
Okay, hang on, let me try and get back to this guy's story.
Se acercaron 2 morenas, muy agradables, por cierto.
Read the story.
A la mesa del lado.
That was fucking close, mate.
Eso eran más o menos las 10.
And the irony is, we're watching something that's on YouTube that is allowed to be there, but if I show too much side boob, I'll get banned, but this video is fine. So meets 2 girls, goes to the bathroom, comes back, assumes something's been put in his drink, finishes his drink, and now can't remember anything of what happened, but wait till you hear what happened. Now keep in mind, I want you to apply everything that you're hearing here to a well-refined human transportation business model. Okay? You don't have to use heroin anymore that degrades the body. It has a physical toll. You don't need to do any of that. You have an army of obliging zombies. Just think about that in the grand scheme of the criminal enterprise. Took all his money, handed it all over quite freely. So how do you then go and prove when the video footage shows you taking the money out of your ATM, when the doorman at your apartment complex says that you carried your own furniture out, because that's what happened. They emptied his house, they emptied his bank account. It was crazy. Now, there's another story about this guy, and he happens to be a terrifying gangster. And 2 women did this to him, and he found out who they were and got revenge. And I'd rather not play that story for you because it's quite fucked. But fuck around and find out, mate. I mean, there's justice and then there's justice, but you don't need to hear that one. So this is now towards the end of the documentary. We've gone through the full cycle of learning about scopolamine, from the flower to the cacao to the seeds to the testimonials from the victims and the predators that use this. Now you're going to see the producer and the star of the documentary after he has been hand-delivered the scopolamine and everything he knows. When they opened it up, in fact, let me find the bit with the car.
I don't know.
Because when the guy that was playing the flute, he brings it back to the car and like opens the wrap in the car, and you can see like a puff of scopolamine just go up into the air, and the mood shifts. Like just for anyone who has recreationally used substances that may be a white powder, and how just little of a fuck you would give about opening up the packaging of said that compared to this should put in perspective how fucking dangerous this shit is.
After all this.
So, how can you drug somebody, make them do something for years and have nobody know? How can you drug children and have all of the effects of these drugs not show up at their pediatricians? You're fucking looking at it. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure scopolamine leaves the system in a matter of hours after the effects wear off. It's that well refined as a perfect trafficking, abuse fueling, slave creating narcotic. Crazy. It's freaking crazy, yo. Right, so let me just go back. There's one more bit of this I want to play.
That you are willing to testify in a court of law about. So let's continue focusing about any of the details about what you're willing to swear to in a court of law, and then then let's look at. I would maybe look at, say, a second discussion and any follow-on questions from this discussion, like a paragraph court.
Involved in lesser things. But then we're also at the same time and place where these more horrible things happened, but they didn't necessarily participate in those more horrible things. So that seemed to be an underlying theme of, and this is just me speculating here as an adult.
I'm just trying to figure out if this is the right place.
These affluent people in all of these positions that actually shot Sarah. And that pissed off the people that were running it, and they killed him. When people in my position would really begin to get scared because, this is just me speculating here as an adult, where they would try to get these affluent people in all of these positions of power and influence to come participate in these parties where all of these things were going on, so that, if Clarence Thomas, I'll just use him, if he was there at the party, well, then surely nothing, that nefarious could be going on type of situations.
Yeah.
So it seemed to be very well thought out how they kind of did things. But as the party wound down, that's when people in my position would really begin to get scared, because that's when either we're going to get assaulted and maybe really busted up.
So there you go. He talks about the progression of these parties, and as they begin to die down, individuals are leaving, they're left because the main event for these individuals is about to start.
Or, even watching somebody die is really fucking horrible. You know.
Did you see anyone else die besides Samantha and Patricia?
Yes.
Yes.
So I watched a grown man get beaten to death. He had done something that pissed off the people that were running it, and they killed him. I saw another girl, in addition to Patricia, when I was making the film with the girl, they came in and shot her while we were having sex. That was some sort of snuff film.
Yeah.
And then in the brothel, there were 2 people that got killed. Sarah killed herself, and then a girl, I don't remember her name, she was shot and killed, and then another girl was also shot and killed.
Okay. And all of these... No, go ahead.
Me and Samantha having to clean up. We didn't have to do anything with the body, but I can remember me and Samantha had to clean up the blood and everything from both Sarah's suicide, which was an assisted suicide. Samantha actually shot Sarah, but Sarah wanted her to do it. She just couldn't pull the trigger herself. So that's just... So Samantha did it. I was in the room when she did. But it wasn't a murder. Samantha didn't murder her. Sarah I can remember her just saying, I can't go to another party. I can't be here. Please. You know.
Another of the victims, I don't know if you've read about, the British woman, Sarah Ransom, was on the Epstein Island and tried to swim off the island and was willing to drown than go through another.
Yeah, I mean, it's some horrible shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can remember the hillbillies that my dad sold me to.
I'm telling you, man. America is fucking cooked, if this is true. It's done. You are cooked. Both sides, monsters. But hey, if you need a distraction, just invade fucking Greenland, right? I mean, right? Fucking hell. It is so horrible. It's a disgusting reality. But what we're going to do, convince ourselves that we have the right to ignore it. Did that little boy on the screen have the fucking chance to ignore it? Did he fuck? Couldn't give a shit if it's hard for you to fucking hear. Couldn't give a shit if it's triggering for people. The only people I care about on that matter are people that have lived through it. Okay, they know. They don't need to hear it. They know they've been fucking through it, mate. But people like me who are at Kushti, we're the ones that need to fucking wake up. Yeah. His brain really suppresses memories. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And you know, it has such... I think this is going to be the Epstein version of... What is the lady's name in the Diddy case who everyone thought was Tupac's daughter? What the hell was her name? I'm so fucking bad with names. It's like right there. Ali Carter. It's... I think we're staring into the white male version of that type of story. I think this guy's going to pop up and be on the run for the rest of his life. I think nothing will come from this. But the minute we find that name in the Epstein files, cooked. Fucking cooked. Now we get it, Trump, why you didn't want the files released. We get it, mate. I wonder what's on all the terabytes of Diddy footage and Epstein footage that no one's fucking bothered to even mention. I wonder who's got possession of all that. I wonder who's pulling the strings. And I wonder how many more legacy survivors, as they're referred to, are going to show face. Because after this gentleman gave his story, another man came forward with a very similar story, and we're going to listen to that story once Ron finds it. It's actually a friend of the channel that covered this. Here we go.
I believe Sascha Riley because
Wax Unfiltered. So I'm just going to cut straight to the beginning of this guy's testimony here. Hang on a second. Let me just not refer to him as this guy as well. There's the wonderful Sarah. Okay, we're just going to call him Dave. That's the same fucking picture that the guy sent before, is it not, Sarah? Or am I? Are we're not crazy? Because that's the same picture. Okay. So we're not crazy. All right. So this is Dave, and this is his story.
Or something I've always had, and there's a story behind it, and I thought I would
hang on. Let me just do the right thing and bring Wax in.
never, ever tell this story to anybody besides my mother, who passed away, and I was going to take this to the grave. And I told you guys that I was going to, now that I have a heart condition and I only have a few years left to live, that I was going to tell some stories. So, trigger warning, this story contains childhood essay, and it could be very harmful to people, you know, just including myself. It's a little hard. So this Sascha Riley stuff that has been all over social media, especially threads, has brought a lot of this back. And I'm continuing to have nightmares because of it, and I'm just going to live through it. Where do I start? My heart is, I can feel it. I believe Sascha Riley because something similar happened to me. Dates, maybe a little bit off. My memory is shot. Trauma, I guess. So, something similar happened to me. My mother married a gentleman in the late 90s. I was about 9 years old. And he was wealthy. He had connections, and he was part Trinidadian. I'm sorry, this is very hard. I'm almost having like a panic attack here. Like I said, I never thought I would tell this story. But fuck it. Rip the
And
band-
people think they've got a fucking right to turn away because they can't listen to this. This man has kept this to himself his whole fucking life.
Band-Aid off.
And I'll tell you something else. Men are my focus this year. Okay, the boys are my fucking focus this year. Because there is countless male victims.
So, living the dream. My mother met a man who had money. We came from nothing. We had no money. And it was great in the beginning, or at least when we were in the U.S. My stepfather did abuse me in the sense of like beatings. Whenever I did anything wrong, if I didn't stand in line, if I didn't wear the right things, if I didn't represent him well, etc. He was very intimidating, but also very a big, powerful man who's to stop him. At this point, my dad was abusive, so like abuse wasn't something uncommon for me. I'm believing this is how you love. This is how life is. That is what it is. Men hit women.
Stage one. Let's view that as stage one.
And children. That's just life. But anyway, we start living the dream, at least financially. We wind up moving to Trinidad. At this time, my sister is an infant. And we up and moved to Trinidad. I'm a child. I know no better. I'm 9 years old. And we're living the dream. Like I said, we have a big house. We have cars. We have servants in the house. I have 2 beautiful dogs. So I had a waterbed. So on paper, I'm living the dream. Like, who cares if I have to get beat every once in a while, right? That eventually turned to essay towards me. And it wasn't in the...
Now, this is where things need to be paid attention to, okay? Because this is where you're going to start seeing the dividing line from traditional PDF monster and the fucking darkness of these hardcore monsters.
The sense that people think, it was in the sense of like punishment. My stepfather never penetrated himself with his orifice, but, and I'm trying to, so this doesn't get taken down, but he would insert things or hurt my genital areas and things like that as a form of punishment, for simple things like forgetting to take out the trash or not clean my room, you know.
You don't even want to imagine being 9, 10 years old, and because you're not cleaning up your room, you're being sexually assaulted as a minor. You have to think, all right, there is a standard level of discipline. If a child is not cleaning...
It's been on for a while. And
you can watch Wax's full response to this.
Until I was unable to hold back, and eventually I was getting big enough to where I could fight back a bit. And that's where things changed. That's where I went to go live with this lady. Now, this was presented to me as like a
phase 2
reform school type of thing where I would be fixed. I wouldn't be in trouble as much because I was unruly. And I remember this lady, her name was Miss Pat. And I wasn't the only kid there. It was weird. Kids all ranging from like 6 years old to about like, there was an older girl who lived there, but she was kind of like doing house chores and things like that. And in the beginning, it was okay. It was away from my stepdad. None of that stuff was going on. I just had to do a lot of just manual labor. And I remember a lot of church. Church was in a separate building to this house. And it was mostly just the kids and us and a lot of prayer and a lot of like priesty stuff, and not even in the sense that you're thinking right now yet. But that was what it was in the very beginning for the first couple weeks. Then I remember one day it started. I was watching the movie Twister, and I remember Miss Pat screaming at us to line up. So we move our way to the church and we line up. All the kids there. I'm talking about 12, 15, sometimes 20 kids. They would come and go. And we lined up, and these gentlemen at first, the first time, just came in the room. They picked 2 kids and went into another room. I don't know what happened yet. Well, until it was my turn, another day. And I just remember this guy pointed at me, and a lot of us couldn't really talk to each other. We didn't really talk about what was going on. You know what I mean? And the older girl, I forget her name. Forgive me. But she controlled or narrated a lot of the situation and kept us, you know, in the dark, or like kept us from talking too much or asking too many questions. But again, until
she was involved in it as well, so she knew exactly what was going on.
It's the same MO in the Scully case, Epstein and Maxwell. There's always this female counterpart who plays a hand in the organization, the acquiring, the control of these kids.
And the guy pointed at me and he said, "Oh, he's American." And I remember
I'll take it one step further. Myra Hindley, Rosemary West.
He's American. And I went into the room, and Miss Pat gave me this tea. And that was the first time I was essayed by someone other than my family member.
Oh, sad, man. And this is a school, you know. Miss Pat gave him a tea. That tea probably had something in it to kind of knock him out a little bit.
We know exactly what was in that tea.
To me, this is all the way life goes. This is the first time someone didn't use it as a form of punishment. Oh, like, you know what I mean? And I just remember laying there and feeling like I deserved it.
Oh, so sad, man.
And knowing I couldn't, like, do anything. And this continued out. By the end, I just was numb. You're talking about a year, maybe. I was trapped there. And these are high, powerful men and a few women who had money.
It's institutional abuse.
They were being paid. They were paying for us. And we were in a different country. A lot of them were American. I don't know if it was for extradition purposes or whatever. I'm a child. I have no clue. But that happened. And there's a lot of stories in that, but I believe him.
I think we all know why this took place in another country or on an island. It's a hell of a lot safer to do terrible things in an environment that's controlled and designed to cater for those things than to go out and try and bring the trouble to your own doorstep.
I know that this happens. These are powerful people. This is one of the reasons I haven't spoke about this. Because of retaliations. I'm naming locations. I'm referencing names right here. My heart is like visceral. But I can't die with this. Nobody on my side. Nobody to know. For me to feel like I didn't do anything wrong. I still battle with my own sexuality today. I'm not saying that this made me who I am or gay or anything or queer. That came later through experiences with queer people. That's what made me queer. I know that. But there's still this doubt in my mind. I'm like, is that why I'm like this? So, this is hard. It's a long video and I'm sorry. Thank you.
So sorry to hear you went through such a trauma.
I mean, again, so many men go through such horrific abuse. They are underrepresented, they are under acknowledged, and they're scared. I believe he is still alive. Yeah. We're actively trying to reach out to as many individuals as we can, with stories they want to put out for Sean's channel, you know. But Sascha and William Riley, the individuals he's mentioned, the absolute. Actually, hang on. That's the last thing you guys need to hear. 1 second.
Girls that had scooped.
Adopted parents.
There's the Chevy van incident, there's the pool incident, and then there's the stairs incident, and all of those generated a.
So what he's talking about here is incidents that took place that generated police reports and investigations from social services in America. So there should be a paper trail of these events, okay? And I don't know if you would make up something that could be quite that easily fact-checked, because I imagine a lot of this can be looked up in American, like you can look up a lot of shit for people's criminal records and whatnot.
A police report. In addition to that, we went down to Panama City, Florida, to the beach, either Panama City or Destin.
He's talking about all the times he believed his father tried to kill him. And he's talking about when they tried to drown him in riptides here.
And they took me to a riptide area. I didn't know it was a riptide area. There were no other people on the beach. You know, it was just us. But within like 100 yards, 150 yards, there's the regular beach where people were at. You know how they have the riptide zones? They don't want you out there, right, for obvious reasons. Well, they took me to one of these zones and had me, you know, say, hey, you know, come out here and play in the water and this and that. And for the first few minutes, it was just the three of us playing in water, and I'm just a kid, you know, beach is awesome. So, at any rate, they go back in, I'm out there playing. Eventually, that current gets me, and I don't know how to swim at this point in my life. So, it pulls me out, you know, 100 feet maybe, and I'm bouncing up and down off the sandbar, just screaming my head off. Well, somebody that was on the regular beach, not in the riptide area, heard the screaming and came running from like 150 yards away, and right by my parents who were standing there, and he goes out there and gets me, fishes me out. By the time he comes back, he's nearly exhausted.
Evildoer's plan is foiled. I know you want to hear more of that, but you can listen to the whole thing yourself. I need to find this section.
Talking about me is just, and now you can just go out and have fun. Well, we went.
Okay, holy shit, here we go.
Not knowing what
Trigger warning.
to do in that instance, because you know these parties weren't for me. I wasn't. And then he said something to the effect of, "No, it's not like that for you anymore. You're a man now. You can just go out and have fun." Well, we went to go have sex, so we went and found a room and started having sex. And while we were having sex, people burst into the room. It would have been 4, 5, 6 guys, big guys, adults. At least one of them had a gun. I think 2 or 3 of them had guns. But they came in, they assaulted her, they beat on her, and then they shot her while she was still in the bed. They didn't beat or assault me, but what they said was, if you don't do everything that the next person coming in here wants, we're going to shoot you just like we did her. And I can remember them having like an argument because they shot her in the bed and then they had to go find another mattress. Well, that's when Trump came in. So that's why I remember him so vividly. And it was at that point I had already decided they're probably just going to kill me anyway. I'm going to take him with me. And I tried, but I did not.
How did you... So, obviously Trump was extremely violent. Trump's a sadistic psychopath. When Trump assaulted you, so sexual assault and physical assault?
Yes. So,
and
at one point, well, I kind of acquiesced to whatever sexual things that he wanted to do. But at some point, he wanted me to have sex with him. So he laid down on his stomach, and there was a wooden tent stake that was in the room, and I had been eyeballing it as a weapon. And what I did was put the condom on the...
Okay, so this is the part. It's more the interviewer's reaction to what he's about to say that casts questions for me.
Wooden tent stake, put it inside of him, and I kicked it as hard as I could. And that's why he had to get life flighted out, because I ripped him open.
Do you ever watch...
I'm sorry. What's fucking funny? The story of a little boy or young teenager kicking a tent peg up a fucking predator's asshole, and you're laughing about it. I swear to God, I'll put money on it that this is the sort of woman that would run head on into a fleet of fucking ice trucks. Like, what the fuck reaction was that?
Watch the movie The Equalizer?
Have you ever watched the movie The Equalizer? I'm going to put this back. I want you all to just relive this.
And what I did was put the condom on the wooden tent stake, put it inside of him, and I kicked it as hard as I could. And that's why he had to get life flighted out, because I ripped him open.
Sweet. Do you ever watch the movie The Equalizer?
seen it.
Denzel Washington, you know, sort of like justice when everyone involved in American law enforcement can't get any justice. That would be a sort of situation, obviously. I laughed because there's poetic justice there. Sasha?
Is there poetic justice? So what happens next, right? Is that poetic justice, Lisa?
That was what facilitated. Not only did I get really assaulted by Andy Biggs, I also got assaulted by like an entire party's worth of people. They took
after Trump was airlifted out.
Yeah, a whole nother party. So they took me to another party after that, and because I had done that to one of those rich people, they took me from like station to station, and they could do whatever they wanted. Most of them just beat on me. I can remember me standing there. I'd already gotten beaten up, you know, I don't know, 5-6 times, and I can remember somebody urinated on me, and I said, "Thank you for not hurting me," and he just hauled off and punched me in the side of the head and knocked me out. I can remember leaving that party, and my dad was just kind of dragging me out of there. It was
Do you know how fucked up you have to be, right? That your thing is pissing on the battered corpses of young children. Like, just imagine for a second, that's your thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, let's just imagine the scene, right? You've got a little boy being battered by 3 or 4 grown men, kicking and screaming for his fucking dear life. Let me put my fucking camera back on. For his fucking dear life. And then some guy in the corner decides, I'm just going to go and piss on that little guy.
Another instance, just like with Andy Biggs, where I got beaten to the point where, you know, the room was spinning. I was nauseous, probably throwing up, maybe some broken bones, badly.
And how many perpetrators did you say again? 20 to 40? 25 to 40 perpetrators?
People that were there, yes. I would say probably 8 or 10 that just beat the absolute hell out of me. And some of them probably sexually assaulted me, but I can't remember. I can remember getting hurt, you know, just getting beaten up and, you know.
Was that before you tried to defend yourself from Trump or after? Do you remember?
That was after. That was as a punishment, if you want to call it that. What happened at that party was part of the punishment, and then I can remember them saying that this is the last of it when I had to go see Andy Biggs, but Andy Biggs almost fucking killed me. So
he knows where his biological mother and father both live. They have nothing to do with this. He was given up for adoption, I do believe.
Remember him to this day.
So when Andy Biggs almost killed you was after Trump as well?
Yes.
Okay.
After Andy Biggs was after Trump. The party that a whole bunch of people assaulted me was after that, and then the last one was Andy Biggs, and then I can remember my dad saying no more. I can remember him even kind of breaking down a little bit, like psychologically, because
that was what I thought was interesting too, Paula.
I guess the repeated watching me just get destroyed by people. You got to understand, it's not like boo-boos and band-aids.
Hey, I'm trying hard to get you a Julie update. Don't worry.
Really hurting me. You know, I've got like a deformed rib cage to this day.
No, sounds like they were trying to torture you just to the point of death, to
Correct.
punish you and to send a message.
They tried over and over again to hint to me to get me to kill myself.
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to kill myself because that's what they want.
So his adopted stepfather was a pilot that could pilot almost any aircraft in the world. And this is how his stepfather was involved with such high-level people, because he would be the global taxi service for this. I just want to say big shout out to producer Sarah for throwing that factoid to me there. I should have played the beginning of this for you guys. If you want me to play the beginning after this, just put a 1 in the side chat.
I survived some of that just out of spite, to be honest with you. There's really no other way to put it, but I wasn't going to. I can remember.
You do understand why these people aren't investigated. You just don't want to admit it out loud. You know exactly why they're not investigated. Okay? The system is set up to protect them. From the judges to the police to the investigators to the lawyers to the international fucking everything. When you've got deranged stepfathers who are fucking pilots who are happy to use their skill sets to facilitate the wants of these monsters, it's just madness. And they talk about, I do believe, Trump being incontinent, which is interesting.
Hating my mom.
I think that was who he was talking about. I can't remember, but I think it is.
So much that I just did not want to give her the satisfaction.
Yeah.
She, as bad as my dad was, Marilyn Riley was even more evil. Her thing was sexually torturing me. So, and she enjoyed sexually torturing Samantha when they went and got her.
And Samantha was the runaway that Riley,
yes, the runaway that
William
she lived in a brothel, basically, a house where they had 4 or 5 underage girls that they had scooped up from wherever they got them from, and they would use those girls at these parties. Well, at one time, they sent me to go be a part of that brothel. So that's when I made friends with Samantha, Patricia, and Sarah, and those are the only 3 that I can remember their names. But Sarah committed suicide, Samantha was tortured to death, and Patricia was the girl that got shot in the bed before Trump came in.
Did Patricia die?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Samantha, Patricia, and Sarah, and all 3 died.
Yes. Yes.
So Samantha was the runaway that was murdered by your adoptive parents.
Yes.
Patricia committed suicide. Sarah committed suicide, and Patricia was murdered in the bed before Trump came in. And then they threatened you and said to let Trump do whatever Trump wanted to do to you, or they would shoot you in the head as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I can remember them pointing the gun at me and saying, "We're going to kill you." And my dad protesting because he said, "If you shoot him, we're all going to go to jail." And he was really, I can remember him being distraught. Now he's a kind of a tough guy and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So that's what stood out to me was he was really scared because he knew that if they just shot me, that's not something he could explain to anybody. And he had gotten into so much trouble with trying to get rid of me already, but there's the Chevy van incident, there's the pool incident, and then there's the stairs incident, and all of those generated a...
All right. So I think you've heard enough. Okay, you've heard the situation with Trump. There's also a segment where he talks about Trump murdering puppies in front of him and various other people who just want something to kill whilst they're waiting. This is straight up hardcore mindset. He went through and served his country twice. I do believe he served and then reserved, whatever the hell that means. When you are in the army, you do, I think there's like a set amount of years or something you've got to do, and then you come out and then you go back in. I think that's what I don't know, re-enlistment. I can't remember what it was called. But twice he done it. So, what do you guys think? Right? Listen, Gary Waterman and I have got a series on Sean Atwood's channel. You don't have to tell me about Gary Waterman. He's my boy. He is my boy. Interviewed him multiple times. Some of the most confusing because of how much information bombing there is. But what an incredible investigator. He's a real deal. I have a theory about Gary, right? It's out there. It's like the graphic novel version of Gary. I've went into it a couple of times. We'll maybe talk about it one night. But what the fuck am I looking for? Oh, I know what I'm looking for. Come on. Here we fucking go.